Hi and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to talk to you about warming up and give you my top 3 tips for warming up. The first tip I want to give you is know how to start and know how to stop. Okay? All too often singers, particularly on the day of something big like an important performance or rehearsal, audition, performance exam, whatever it might be, they really care. And so they go at the voice because they fuss. Don't do that. It's a good way to think of your warm-up as being, literally just like a warm-up in the gym. It is not a workout, okay? You shouldn't stress the muscles, okay? It's just getting ready to use the voice. That's all. Preparing the voice. So starting is a very gentle process. And the voice should be the last thing you warm up. So make sure that your body generally is warmed up and loosened. It might, if you're very tired, need a walk around the block or whatever works for you. Star jumps, do whatever it takes, okay? And some stretches, shoulder rolls, rotate the neck, etc. And then start thinking about the parts of the body that are specifically engaged when we're singing. So we're going to think about the whole respiratory system and the muscles of the core, the diaphragm, all these different muscles, etc. We're also going to think about the muscles around the jaw, the neck, the tongue, etc. and get them nice and loose before we start work on the actual vocal cords, etc. and waking them up. Okay? So what we're talking about is, let's start with the respiratory system. A couple of breathing exercises if you have time to do a proper routine of maybe, 10 minutes just to really wake up the breathing, that's good. But even in a very short warm-up, make sure that you do at least a few simple breathing exercises. Again, watching your posture, I always use that Garcia method of bringing the hands above the head and down to the sides so we know our chest is comfortably high, but not like we joined the army, okay? And not bending the spine back. And then just inhaling nice and low, diaphragm descends, all the abdominal muscles, etc. expand to allow that to happen. And just something like, for example, going a few of those, or and really feel that engagement in your body and make sure that's awake first. If your body and your breathing aren't awake before you start using your voice, it's really bad, okay? It's like jumping out of the plane before you put your parachute on. It's not clever, okay? The next thing I want to look at is the other muscles that are involved in singing, the other areas of the body that are involved in singing, apart from the vocal cords or vocal folds, whichever you prefer. So we're going to look at the jaw. Okay, a lot of singers have issues with jaw tension and a lot of singers have issues with tongue tension. So just looking at the jaw, just loosening that up. And again, this is very gentle, just wiggling it around, just loosening it up and down, vertically and horizontally. So that sort of thing, and sideways. And again, you don't have to say the just loosening that up. The next thing I want to look at is the tongue. An awful lot of singers have problems with tongue tension, okay? If you stick your tongue right out, with your finger gently on your larynx there, you'll feel your larynx being pulled up. And that's just one illustration of how important it is not to have excessive tension in the tongue, because it directly impacts the voice, okay? So, a few exercises to loosen the tongue. One is literally sticking it right out, Not pretty, but it helps, okay? And then wipe your chin. The next one is literally just, leaning forwards and just shaking, okay? None of these are pretty, but they work. And just shaking that out, just letting that out, just letting it be very, very loose. Another one I like is to put the tip of the tongue behind your bottom teeth and keep it there, but just curl, and it's almost like you're sticking out your tongue but keeping the tip of your tongue behind your bottom teeth, like that. And that just helps to loosen it up. If you're still feeling tight, you can, put your fingers underneath your chin here very gently, okay? And if you press your tongue against your bottom teeth, you'll feel where the base of the tongue is. And then just gently, ever so gently, just massage that. And as you're doing that, you'll feel that everything here tends to get nice and loose and free as well. Now, this should only ever be done very gently. So we're just loosening up there. Okay, very, very gently. And then spreading the massage onto the muscles here. And just feeling that looseness and even going up in front of the ears. And just feeling that all loosening out. Now, this feels like it's taking a lot of your warm-up time. It's so worthwhile because once you've done all this, straight away you get that feeling of looseness, okay? Singing is all about freedom and flow, and that's what we're setting up here, okay? So now we've woken up the respiratory system, we've relaxed here, maybe a couple more, just shoulder rolls, neck rolls, whatever works for you, very gently. Obviously, if you've got any neck injuries or if you've got any other medical issues, you check first with your doctor before you do any kind of exercises, okay? So now we're ready to start looking at opening up the resonators. Now, an awful lot of singing is about substituting resonance for effort, okay? So in terms of opening up the resonators, we are now starting to use the voice. So the vocal warm-up is getting going now. In terms of this, I like to start it with simple things like a tongue trill and, okay, and you can really feel the air going out with that. So not only is it exercising the air and the voice, but it's also making sure that the tongue is staying forward and loose. Okay, so it's putting the little different elements together for you, but only very gently. Now you'll notice I was doing that in a kind of a slide. Some people call it sirening, where it's going gently up and gently down. But it's a very gentle process. By doing that kind of sliding thing, what we're doing is we're going with the process of singing, the function, if you like, of singing. And what we're doing is we're just gradually stretching the vocal folds and relaxing. Gradually stretching and relaxing. As you sing higher, your vocal folds, vocal cords, same thing, are pulled more tight. They're elongated and thinned, okay? So if you go, yeah, you're yanking them. We don't want that, okay? It's literally, and I've just gone into what I'm going to show you next. We've done some tongue trills. If you want, you can do some lip trills. Those kind of things, okay? Whichever, or both. And then go into sirening with an NG. So that, Now here your tongue is in contact with your alveolar ridge, which is the gum behind your top front teeth. And what that's doing is just, you'll feel the resonators in here behind your nose really being activated. Now that sound in itself ain't pretty, I know that, but in the same way as you would use, say, garlic or lemon juice in a recipe, and you wouldn't drink lemon juice on its own or eat garlic on its own, add it in as an ingredient of your sound. That's really important. Remember, so much of vocal technique is about substituting resonance for effort. That's a really important thing to remember. So in our warm-ups, we're already focusing on substituting resonance for effort on a free voice that isn't tight or tense with the support in place. So you can see the steps, the logical underpinning that's going on in this warm-up. Okay, so now we've got to our sort of resonance sirening here. So we're working on these forward resonances. Now you notice I'm not going mad high or mad low. It's just in the middle. I'm just getting that working for me. And it also really helps the vocal folds to just have a gentle start to their activities for the day. Okay? Now, that's getting those kind of forward resonance. Getting the sound forward is really important so that we can really sing brilliantly and project with ease over an orchestra or piano in an acoustic, whatever it may be, okay? We also want a richness, more than one ingredient to our resonance, so we want to balance the resonance and the access to these hollows in here, these different resonators. So the next exercise is going to be like a hum, like an M, but this time we want to feel it almost as if you're trying to get your ears buzzing. So, now you know straight away it's a much duller sort of tone, but I'm just getting those other resonators available to me as well, that the voice is accessing them and knowing where to go for them. So, so then, just a moment or two of those, and all of a sudden you'll find, the voice is starting to feel a little bit easier. It's coming on. And then, and only then, would I start going into actual sort of exercises or scales. Now, it may seem like I've left this quite late in the warm-up, and that's because I have. And that's another one of my tips. The actual singing part, the singing voice, the vocal part, if you like, should be the last part of your singing apparatus to be warmed up in a vocal warm-up. It's like treating it like the VIP that it is, that you have everything prepared and just in place before the special guest arrives. And by doing that, it makes the whole process easier and things fall into place. And there's much less chance you're ever going to strain your voice in a warm-up. Okay? And that is one of my tips, that the voice part is the last part of our singing to be warmed up. Everything else is prepared first. So, I would recommend when we're getting into scales and exercises to do relatively easy ones, to do relatively low compass ones, not ones that go very high and very low in themselves, okay, they have a wide range, and not to go extremely high or very low. Just keep it in very comfortable range, okay? Something easy that allows you to focus on your tone production, on your continuous flow. Singing is all about freedom and flow. So if we're warming up our singing, we're warming up our freedom and our flow. And so focus on your legato when you're doing these exercises, okay? And just like a car going down a motorway, if a car is just coasting along, it could be doing, the speed limit in Europe is 120 kilometers an hour. It could be coasting at 120 kilometers an hour and the engine is hardly working at all. But if it's stopping and starting and stopping and starting, the engine really is working. A lot more wear and tear on that engine, okay? So if we can get the voice working continuously and flowing, it's going to have a much easier life, yeah? So focus on that, and we're going to start in the middle of the voice and then gradually work outwards, yeah? A little bit higher, a little bit lower, but nothing really high or really low, nothing dramatic. It's only a warm-up, yeah? We're preparing the voice to be used rather than working it out. Okay, so let's just take something simple. Now, because I've prepared the support and the resonators, you should hear a lot more projection and a lot more focus, if you like, and resonance on my singing voice. So here we go. So, you can see it's just there, yeah, and it doesn't need a whole lot more work. Now, we can then focus on and doing our legato exercises, and we can also then focus on agility exercises. Agility is not just about singing lots of notes in quick succession as you have to do in Baroque music, etc. It's about vocal freedom. So even the same exercise, right? That sense of freedom. But you can hear that rather than working my voice, what you're hearing is my support and my resonance. So in actual fact, working using this and setting up the coordination in advance of introducing the vocal element has worked. And surprisingly now, after a few more scales, I would stop. That was what I said at the start. Know how to start, which is very gently, etc., and know how to stop. And that's it. So my 3 top tips for warming up are: know how to start and know how to stop. Be gentle at every stage of the warm-up, without fail. And the actual voice itself, the vocal part, the singing part, should be the last part of your vocal apparatus, if you like, the systems in the voice, respiratory, phonatory, resonatory, articulatory, etc. It should be the last part to be warmed up. Those tips really, really work. It seems so gentle. And it's only when you've used it a few times you go, gosh, this actually really, really works. And it's easy. Okay? I will be doing other vlogs where I'll deal with different types of warm-ups for different voice types. Not only different voice categories such as, soprano, mezzo, tenor, baritone, bass, etc. I'll also be looking at different fachs, different weights of voice, different styles of voice, etc. And I'll also be doing, because different exercises, there are different exercises that I would recommend for those different voice types. And I couldn't get into those specifics here, or we'd be here for 3 or 4 hours. The other thing I will do is do some workouts, or warm-ups at least, and workouts as well, for choirs. And so we can do a general warm-up for a choir that could be useful, but also warm-ups for the different voice categories in the choir: sopranos, altos, tenors, basses, etc. That could be useful, and could be useful for people who are in choirs to do when they're at home, so that when they turn up for their choir practice, even if it's only once a week, that their voice is much fitter, healthier, and easier to use, and that's more fun. Okay, so enjoy your singing, enjoy your warm-ups, trust your voice and trust your warm-ups, trust that gentle is the best way. And if you use those 3 tips, trust me, your warm-ups will be enhanced. So know how to start, know how to stop. Be gentle, always. And the voice, the actual voice part, is the last part of the vocal mechanism or apparatus to be warmed up in a good warm-up. Enjoy your singing. Take care.